Okay, last thing on, again, every day we are learning more about the insanity that took place in the aftermath of the November election and in the lead up to the January 6th riots. By now, you have no doubt heard, if you've been watching my show, listening to the podcast over the last year, all of the different ways in which they were trying to get a hold of the fact that Joe Biden won the election and that they wanted to try to overturn it. We've talked about 63 court filings, all of which were found to be without merit. Some were found where there was no standing, and many of them found to be without merit. We've learned about, Mike Pence is going to flip the election somehow, either by something he does himself or by sending it back to the states or, whatever the case may be. We also heard about declaring a national emergency / martial law. And there was this idea of seizing the voting machines. Now, what you do with the voting machines once you seize them to flip results, we can speculate. We don't exactly know, but we now have reason to believe that Donald Trump himself, who's shocked by this? Donald Trump himself was much more involved than previously known in the plan to seize those voting machines. The New York Times breaking the story this week. Trump had role in weighing proposals to seize voting machines. New accounts show that the former president was more directly involved than previously known in plans developed by outside advisors to use national security agencies to seek evidence of fraud. 6 weeks after Election Day, with his hold on power slipping, Trump directed Giuliani to make a remarkable call. Trump wanted him to ask DHS if it could legally take control of voting machines in key swing states, 3 people familiar with the matter said. Remember that Giuliani did so, calling the department's acting deputy secretary, who said he lacked the authority to audit or impound the machines. Trump pressed Giuliani to make the inquiry after rejecting a separate effort by his outside advisors to have the Pentagon take control of the machines. And the outreach to the Department of Homeland Security came not long after Trump, in an Oval Office meeting with then Attorney General William Barr, raised the possibility of whether the Justice Department could seize the machines, a previously undisclosed suggestion that Mr. Barr immediately shot down. The new accounts show that Trump was more directly involved than previously known in exploring these proposals to seize voting machines, as he grasped unsuccessfully for evidence of fraud that could help him reverse the 2020 election. Right now, everyone's attention is focused on the coup and on election fraud, and that makes sense. But look at how much we've learned just about that, and then imagine for a moment how much other crazy stuff was going on that we still don't know anything about, that will likely be uncovered about the last 4 years. It will probably take, conservatively, another 4 years to figure all of that out. And it could even take closer to 8 to 10 years for it all to shake out in terms of its repercussions. It's very clear that they did attempt a coup, but they seemed not that competent at it. They seemed as competent at doing the coup as they were at governing when Donald Trump was president. And it failed and it became a sideshow, but we can't write it off and not worry because, as I said earlier, DeSantis is a more competent Trump, and that makes him more dangerous. And these same techniques now, with the experience of 2020, knowing where the holdups were, knowing where it ended up stalling, with a more competent person at the helm, could be a very dangerous proposition. And we've heard from retired military generals who say if Trump had had the generals on his side, could have been a very different outcome. We've heard about if there had been more willingness in the House and particularly the Senate to attempt to reject or challenge some of the results in a more serious way in multiple states, it could have been a different outcome. Now, one more thought about this Trump role in trying to seize voting machines. Remember when William Barr quit seemingly out of the blue as Attorney General on December 23rd? December 23rd was the date of William Barr's resignation letter. Did William Barr see the writing on the wall about what was coming on January 6th. Maybe not specifically, but knowing this is potentially bad and I don't want to be associated with it. And that's why he abruptly quit. Because if you consider the timing, the meetings where the idea of a national emergency was floated, the meetings where the question about can we seize the voting machines, all of this stuff happened between the November election and December 23rd when William Barr quit. And it seems plausible, at least, that Barr knew or suspected that something insane was coming and decided to get the hell out of there before it did. Doesn't make Barr any better of an attorney general. It's just Barr acting out of self-interest. The timing makes sense. At some point, maybe we'll know for sure.